The stars stretched endlessly before the diplomatic vessel Aurora as it glided through the darkness of space. Captain Daniel Harper stood on the bridge, watching the distant lights of Telos Station growing larger on the view screen. He had made this journey dozens of times before. It was supposed to be routine. Sign some trade agreements, attend a few boring meetings, and return home to Earth. Daniel ran a hand through his dark hair and glanced at his crew. They looked relaxed. His second officer, Lieutenant Amy Brooks, sat at the communication station, her fingers moving across the controls as she monitored the usual chatter between ships and stations in this sector. She was young, but sharp, with an ear for details that others might miss. Telos Station was a neutral meeting place where dozens of alien species came to trade and talk. It floated in space like a giant wheel slowly rotating to create artificial gravity. The station belonged to no single government, which made it perfect for diplomatic work. Daniel had always found it peaceful here, far from the political games that happened on Earth. As the Aurora approached the docking port, Amy suddenly sat up straighter. Her fingers stopped moving. Daniel noticed the change in her posture immediately. "Captain, I'm picking up something odd," she said, her voice quiet but urgent. "What kind of odd?" Daniel walked over to her station. An encrypted transmission. It's using old Zarathian military codes, but someone made a mistake. Part of it is broadcasting in the clear. Amy's fingers flew across her console, isolating the signal. "Sir, I think you need to hear this." She played the audio. The voice was harsh, speaking in the clicking, growling language of the Zarathian Empire. But the translation software caught certain words clearly. Human juveniles. And mining quota. And Vorith Prime. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. Human juveniles. That meant children. His children back on Earth were safe at home with his wife, but the thought of any human children in danger made his blood run cold. "Are you sure that translation is correct?" he asked. "Running it again now, sir." Amy played it 3 more times. Each time, the same words appeared. "The translation is accurate. They're talking about human children." Daniel made a decision. "Cancel our official docking. Tell the station we have a mechanical issue and need to make repairs before we can dock. Buy us some time." "Yes, sir." Amy sent the message while Daniel gathered his senior officers in the briefing room. He explained what they had heard. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, looked angry. His medical officer, Dr. Patricia Moore, looked horrified. His science officer, Commander Lisa Chen, looked determined. "We need more information," Lisa said. "A partial transmission isn't enough to take to Earth Command. They'll want proof." "Agreed," Daniel said. "But how do we get it? We can't exactly ask the Zarathians if they're enslaving human children." Jake leaned forward. "Telos Station has public data terminals. Some of them connect to wider information networks. If the Zarathians are moving human children through space, there might be shipping records or surveillance footage somewhere." "That's risky," Patricia said. "If we're caught searching for classified information, we could start an interstellar incident, and if we do nothing, human children stay enslaved," Daniel replied. His voice was firm. "I won't let that happen." "Lisa, you and Jake go to the station. Use cover identities as traders. See what you can find. Patricia, prepare the medical bay. If we find these children, they'll need help." 2 hours later, Lisa and Jake were on Telos Station, dressed in civilian clothes. They moved through the crowded corridors, passing aliens of every size and shape. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had skin like rubber. The air smelled of strange spices and recycled oxygen. They found a public terminal in a quiet corner near the market district. Lisa sat down and began working while Jake stood guard, pretending to examine goods at a nearby shop. "I'm into the shipping database," Lisa whispered into her concealed communicator, searching for unusual cargo routes to Vorith Prime. She worked for 20 minutes, her eyes scanning endless columns of data. Then she stopped. Got something. Multiple shipments marked as biological specimens from the outer colonies. Small sizes, child sizes. Jake moved closer. "Can you trace where they came from?" Lisa's fingers moved faster. 3 different colony worlds. New Salem, Prosperity, and Haven's Rest. All remote settlements. All reported communication failures around the same time these shipments started. Communication failures, Jake muttered. Convenient. Wait, Lisa said. There's more. A surveillance camera on Docking Base 7. It captured something 3 weeks ago. She downloaded the footage quickly, her heart pounding. They returned to the Aurora immediately. In the briefing room, Daniel watched the footage with his officers. The video showed a Zarathian cargo ship docked at Telos Station. Guards stood around it, their weapons visible. Then, for just a moment, the cargo door opened. Inside were children. Human children. Daniel counted 12 of them, all young, all thin, all wearing simple gray clothing. They looked exhausted and frightened. One little girl, maybe 7 years old, was crying. A guard shouted at her, and she went silent, her shoulders shaking. The door closed. The ship departed. The timestamp showed this happened only 3 weeks ago. Patricia had tears in her eyes. Jake's jaw was clenched so tight, his teeth hurt. Lisa looked at Daniel, waiting for orders. How long has this been happening? Daniel asked quietly. Lisa checked her data. Based on shipping records, at least 3 years, maybe longer. 3 years. Daniel thought of his own children. 3 years of human children suffering while Earth had no idea. The colony worlds were so far away, so isolated. The Zarathians must have taken the children during raids, then claimed the colonies had technical problems. No one had questioned it. No one had checked. We need to get this information to Earth immediately, Daniel said. But the Zarathians might be monitoring communications in this sector. If they know we know, they might move the children or worse. Then we run silent, Jake said. Jump directly to Earth space. No stops. No transmissions. Daniel nodded. Amy, plot the fastest course home. Lisa, copy all this data to isolated storage. If something happens to the ship, I want this information to survive. What about the diplomatic mission? Patricia asked. It doesn't matter anymore, Daniel replied. Nothing matters except getting this evidence to Earth. Those children need us. 10 minutes later, the Aurora broke from its position near Telos Station. The station's traffic control called out, confused, but Daniel ignored them. He ordered maximum speed. The ship's engines burned bright as it accelerated, leaving the station behind. As they entered the jump point, Daniel looked at the frozen image on his screen. The little girl, crying in that cargo hold. He made a silent promise to her and to all the children they had discovered. Earth would know. Earth would act, and those children would come home. The Aurora vanished into faster-than-light travel, carrying the most important cargo it had ever held, proof of an unforgivable crime and the spark that would ignite humanity's righteous fury. The Aurora burst from faster-than-light travel near Earth's moon. Daniel immediately opened a priority channel to Earth Defense Command. Within seconds, his message reached the highest levels of Earth's military. The words he sent were simple, but devastating. Human children found enslaved. Evidence attached. Request immediate emergency counsel. Admiral Kevin Ross received the message in his office overlooking the Pacific Ocean. He was a tall man with gray hair and steady hands that had guided Earth's defense forces for 12 years. But when he watched the footage from Telos Station, his hands shook. He watched it 3 times. Then he called an emergency meeting. 6 hours later, Daniel stood in the council chamber in Geneva. Around the curved table sat representatives from every major Earth government and military branch. President Helen Martinez sat at the center, her face grave. She was known for her calm decisions, but today her eyes blazed with controlled anger. "Show them," she said simply. Daniel played the footage on the large screens. The room fell silent. Grown men and women, leaders of nations, watched the crying children in the cargo hold. Some looked away. Others stared with clenched fists. When the video ended, no one spoke for a long moment. "How many?" President Martinez asked, her voice tight. "We believe at least 300 children from 3 colony worlds," Daniel replied. "Possibly more, from places we haven't discovered yet. The oldest evidence we found goes back 3 years. A delegate from the Asian Union stood up. 3 years. How did we not know? The colonies were remote, Daniel explained. The Zarathians are clever. They staged attacks to look like technical failures. By the time anyone could investigate, the children were already gone. The Zorathians told the colonies their children were being evacuated for safety. The parents had no choice but to believe them. "Where are the children now?" asked the European Federation representative. Lisa Chen stepped forward. She had been promoted to commander during the flight home for her work discovering the evidence. "We tracked 7 locations, labor camps on mining worlds deep in Zorathian space. The children are being forced to mine crystalline, a rare energy source. Their small size allows them to access narrow tunnels that adults cannot reach." Admiral Ross pulled up a star map. 7 red dots glowed in Zorathian territory. "Getting to these locations will require passage through 3 Zorathian defense lines. They have ships, weapons, and bases throughout that region. This isn't a simple rescue. This is an invasion of sovereign space. I don't care about their sovereignty," President Martinez said sharply. "They stole our children. We're bringing them home." The room erupted in agreement. Every representative voted yes. There was no debate, no hesitation. Earth would act. President Martinez stood. "I'm authorizing Operation Homecoming. Admiral Ross, you have full military authority. Commander Chen, you will lead the extraction teams. Bring our children home." The news broke across Earth within hours. Every television, every computer screen, every phone showed the footage. The little girl crying in the cargo hold became the face that launched Earth's fury. People poured into the streets in every city. Not to protest, not to riot, but to volunteer. Millions wanted to help. At the recruitment centers, the lines stretched for blocks. Young men and women, old veterans, doctors, engineers, teachers, all wanted to join Operation Homecoming. Daniel watched from the Aurora as Earth mobilized with a speed and unity he had never seen before. In the military shipyards, workers never stopped. They built transport ships to carry the children home. They loaded medical supplies enough to treat 1,000 injured. They prepared blankets, food, clothes, toys, everything children might need. Lisa Chen stood in the tactical planning room with 50 other officers. She had been chosen to lead because of her experience in covert operations, but this was bigger than anything she had done before. The pressure felt enormous. "We need to hit all 7 camps simultaneously," she explained, pointing at the holographic map. "If we attack one camp, the Zorathians will move or harm the children in the others. We get one chance to do this right." "That requires splitting our forces," Jake Morrison said. He had been assigned as her second in command. 7 strike teams, 7 locations. If one team faces trouble, the others might not be able to help. "I know," Lisa said. "That's why we need allies." Admiral Ross nodded. "We've been reaching out through back channels. The Kelvari people have responded. They hate the Zorathians. 50 years ago, the Zorathians occupied their homeworld. They still remember." A holographic image appeared, showing a bird-like alien with feathered crests and sharp eyes. "This is Wing Commander Talrix, leader of the Kelvari Resistance. He's willing to meet with us." "Where?" Lisa asked. "A border world called Paxes. It's neutral territory. We leave in 2 days." Those 2 days passed in a blur of preparation. Earth's fleet assembled in orbit. 30 warships, 20 transport vessels, 10 medical ships. It was the largest fleet Earth had ever sent beyond its own solar system. Dr. Patricia Moore oversaw the medical preparations. She worked 20-hour days setting up treatment facilities on every medical ship. She trained hundreds of counselors in trauma care for children. She knew the rescued children would need more than physical healing. "These children have been enslaved for years," she told her staff. "They'll be frightened, traumatized, possibly injured. We need to be ready for anything, and we need to be gentle. After what they've been through, kindness might seem strange to them." Meanwhile, ordinary Earth citizens did what they could. Schools collected stuffed animals to give to the rescued children. Families prepared to host children who might have lost their parents. Artists painted murals showing the fleet bringing the children home. An old woman in Tokyo folded 10,000 paper cranes, one for each child she hoped would be saved. On the final night before departure, President Martinez addressed Earth from the deck of the flagship Defender. Behind her stood Lisa Chen, Admiral Ross, and Daniel Harper. Behind them, the massive fleet waited in orbit, their running lights creating a constellation of human determination. 3 years ago, our children were stolen from us, President Martinez said. We didn't know. We couldn't help them. But now we know, and we will act. To the Zorathian Empire, I say this: release our children peacefully, or we will come and take them. To the children who may somehow hear this message, hold on, we're coming for you. Earth never abandons its own. The broadcast reached across space. On distant worlds, both human and alien, people watched. Some species cheered Earth's courage, others worried about war. The Zorathian Empire remained silent, but their military forces began moving into defensive positions. On the bridge of the Defender, Lisa Chen looked at the star map showing their route. 7 camps, 300 children, maybe more. Thousands of light years of hostile space between here and there. Jake stood beside her. Are you ready for this? Lisa thought of the little girl crying in the cargo hold. She thought of 3 years of suffering. She thought of every parent on the colony worlds who went to sleep not knowing if their children were alive or dead. Yes, she said firmly. Let's bring them home. The fleet engaged their engines. Thousands of points of light began moving as, one, leaving Earth behind. They carried weapons and ships and soldiers. But more than that, they carried something the Zorathian Empire had never truly understood: the absolute unwillingness of humans to abandon their young. The journey to Paxis would take 8 days. 8 days to plan, to prepare, to forge alliances. 8 days before Operation Homecoming truly began. In the cargo hold of the Aurora, now traveling with the fleet, Daniel looked at a small photograph. His own children, safe at home, smiling at the camera. He touched the photo gently, then placed it in his pocket, close to his heart. Soon, other children would smile again too. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near the planet Paxis. The world hung before them like a blue and green jewel, peaceful and quiet. But Lisa Chen knew that appearances could deceive. This border world had seen countless secret meetings between species who preferred to keep their conversations hidden from prying eyes. Admiral Ross stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching 3 ships approach from the planet's surface. They were unlike any vessels the humans had seen before. Sleek and curved, they looked more like living birds than machines. Their hulls shimmered with patterns that shifted like feathers in the wind. Calvari vessels confirmed, the sensor officer reported. They're signaling for a shuttle meeting on the surface. Coordinates provided. Lisa turned to Jake Morrison. Get our team ready. Full diplomatic protocols, but keep security close. We don't know these people yet. 2 hours later, a human shuttle touched down in a clearing surrounded by tall purple trees. Lisa stepped out first, followed by Jake, Daniel, and 6 security personnel. The air smelled sweet, like honey mixed with rain. A warm breeze rustled the strange vegetation. The Calvari were waiting. Lisa had seen their images, but seeing them in person was different. They stood on 2 powerful legs, their bodies covered in feathers that ranged from deep blue to brilliant gold. Their faces were sharp and angular, with large eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Each one wore a harness holding tools and weapons. The tallest Calvari stepped forward. His feathers were silver touched with red, and a series of scars marked his neck. I am Wing Commander Talakris, he said in perfect English, his voice having a musical quality. Welcome to Paxis, humans of Earth. Lisa extended her hand, a gesture she hoped translated. Talix looked at it curiously, then grasped it with his 3-fingered hand. His grip was firm but careful. Thank you for meeting with us, Lisa said. We need help. Our children are enslaved, and we're going to free them. Talix's eyes narrowed. The Zorathians take what they want and call it law. 50 years ago, they came to our world. They said they were bringing order and civilization. Instead, they brought chains and death. It took us 30 years to drive them away. He gestured for the humans to follow. They walked through the forest to a hidden facility built into the hillside. Inside, a large room held maps and displays showing Zorathian space in detail. We have watched the Zorathians for decades, Talrix explained. We know their patrol routes, their supply lines, their weaknesses. When we heard what they did to your young, we knew we had to act. The Zorathians believe small species are worthless. They are wrong. A younger Kelvari approached, her feathers bright green with yellow tips. This is Scout Sivra, Talix said. She has been inside one of the camps. Sivra bowed her head to the humans. 3 months ago, I infiltrated the facility on Vorath Prime disguised as a maintenance worker. I saw your children. Her voice grew quiet. They are so small, so young, but they are stronger than the Zorathians realize. Tell us everything, Lisa said, leaning forward. Sivra pulled up holographic images of the camp. The facility holds 237 human children. Ages range from 6 to 14 years. They work in 12-hour shifts, mining crystalline in tunnels too narrow for adult workers. Guards watch constantly. But they are lazy. They believe children cannot fight back. Are the children injured? Doctors, Patricia Moore asked, her voice tense. Many are malnourished. Some have injuries from cave-ins or equipment failures. But they help each other. I saw older children caring for younger ones. They have created a family among themselves. Sivra looked directly at Patricia. One child, a small female with brown hair, she organized the others. She made sure the weakest children got extra food. She taught them how to avoid the cruelest guards. The Zorathians do not even realize she leads them. Lisa felt a surge of pride. Even in slavery, human children found ways to survive and protect each other. Jake studied the tactical displays. The camps are heavily defended. Each one has at least 50 guards, automated weapons, and sensor systems. How do we get past all that? You do not go past it, Talrix said. You go through it, but not alone. He activated a communication device. The display showed representatives from 3 other alien species. Lisa recognized them from intelligence reports. The Minari, insect-like beings with multiple arms. The Qualine, who looked like walking crystals. The Theron, massive and strong with rock-like skin. These species have also suffered under Zorathian rule, Talix explained. When they heard of Operation Homecoming, they contacted us. They wished to help. A Minari representative clicked forward, her translator rendering her words into English. The Zorathians enslaved my people's children as well, 60 years ago. We could not save them. Perhaps we can save yours. A Qualine spoke, its voice like chimes. We offer our ships for the rescue. Our vessels have advanced stealth technology. The Zorathians will not detect us until too late. The Theron representative, a massive being named Korgath, simply said, we will fight beside you. No child should suffer slavery. Lisa looked at each face, human and alien alike. An alliance was forming, built not on politics or trade, but on shared outrage at an unforgivable crime. Over the next 3 days, humans and aliens worked together to plan the rescue. Talix provided detailed intelligence on each camp. Sivra shared maps she had memorized during her infiltration. The Minari contributed jamming technology to blind Zorathian sensors. The Qualine offered their stealth ships. The Theron prepared boarding teams. Lisa divided her forces carefully. 7 strike teams, each led by an experienced commander. Each team would be mixed, humans, Kelvari, and members of the other allied species. They would hit all 7 camps at exactly the same moment. Speed and precision, Lisa explained during the final briefing. We get in, secure the children, and get out. Our priority is the children's safety, not engaging Zorathian forces. If we can avoid casualties on both sides, we do so. Jake added, non-lethal weapons preferred. We're not here for revenge. We're here for rescue. Daniel Harper, who would lead one of the strike teams, stood up. What about the children themselves? They've been traumatized. They might not trust us at first. They might be too frightened to move. Patricia Moore had an answer. Each team includes medical personnel trained in trauma response. We'll approach slowly, identify ourselves clearly, and let the children see we're human. We've prepared recordings from Earth, messages from families, music from home, anything to help them understand they're being rescued, not captured by someone new. Sivra spoke up. I request permission to join the strike on Vorath Prime. The children there saw me briefly. If I can show I am with you, they may trust faster. Lisa nodded. Permission granted. You'll be with my team. That evening, Jake found Lisa standing alone outside the facility, looking up at the stars. Having second thoughts? He asked gently. No, Lisa said. I'm thinking about what Sivra said, about the little girl who organized the others, who made sure the weak ones survived. She's probably 10 years old, Jake, maybe younger, and she became a leader in hell. Kids are tougher than we think sometimes, Jake said. They shouldn't have to be, Lisa replied firmly. After tomorrow, they won't have to be anymore. The next morning, the combined fleet departed Paxis, 50 human ships and 30 allied vessels, all moving as one coordinated force. They traveled in tight formation, their paths calculated to arrive at all 7 camps simultaneously. In the cargo bay of the Defender, Lisa checked her equipment one final time. Around her, human marines did the same. Nearby, Kelvari warriors prepared their weapons. A Theran soldier named Gorak tested his armor. A Minari technician calibrated jamming devices. We look like something out of a story, Jake said, watching the mixed groups work together. We are a story, Lisa replied. The story of what happens when you hurt someone's children. The story of species who chose to stand together instead of apart. Talix approached, his silver feathers gleaming under the bay lights. My people have a saying. The wind that scatters leaves also carries seeds. The Zorathians scattered your young, but today we carry the seeds of their empire's end. Lisa smiled. I like that saying. Ready? Talix asked. Lisa looked around at her diverse team. Humans and aliens, all here for the same reason. All ready to risk everything for children they had never met. Yes, she said. Let's bring them home. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. 24 hours until they reached the camps. 24 hours until Operation Homecoming truly began. In cargo holds across 50 ships, teams prepared. In medical bays, doctors made ready. And somewhere ahead, in 7 different camps, 300 human children continued their work in the dark mines, not knowing that help was finally coming. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity united with a righteous purpose. The Zorathian Empire was about to face something they had never encountered before. The combined fury of multiple species standing together to protect the innocent. The combined fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at exactly the same moment in 7 different star systems. Alarms remained silent. The Qualine stealth technology worked perfectly. The Zorathian sensors detected nothing unusual. Lisa Chen stood in the deployment bay of the strike ship Valiant, her heart pounding. Around her, 20 human marines checked their weapons one final time. 5 Kelvari warriors adjusted their flight harnesses. 2 Theran soldiers stood like living mountains, calm and ready. Sivra, the young Kelvari scout, gripped her equipment bag tightly. 2 minutes to drop, the pilot announced. Lisa activated her communication device. All teams, report status. 6 voices answered, one from each of the other strike teams hitting the remaining camps. Daniel Harper confirmed his team was ready at Camp 3. Jake Morrison reported green status at Camp 5. Every team was in position. Remember, Lisa said into the comm. We move fast, we move together, and we protect the children above all else. Good luck, everyone. Let's bring them home. The Valiant descended through Vorath Prime's atmosphere. The planet below looked barren and gray, covered in mining operations and processing facilities. The camp appeared on scanners, a cluster of buildings surrounded by high walls and guard towers. Minari jamming devices activated, blinding the camp's sensors. The Zorathian guards never saw the ships approaching until they were directly overhead. Lisa's team dropped from the Valiant using gravity belts, landing silently outside the main compound. The Theran soldiers hit the ground first, their massive forms absorbing the impact easily. They immediately moved to the main gate, their strength allowing them to tear through the metal barriers as if they were paper. Breach successful, Lisa reported. Moving in. Inside the compound, Zorathian guards scrambled in confusion. Their weapons charged, but the human teams used non-lethal stun rounds. Guards dropped without permanent injury, their bodies locked in temporary paralysis. The Calvary warriors moved with incredible speed, disarming guards before they could fire. Children's quarters located, called out Corporal Ryan Bennett, Lisa's second in command. North building, underground level. Lisa led her team toward the building. They encountered 12 more guards who tried to form a defensive line. The Theron soldier Gorik simply walked through their fire, his rock-like skin deflecting their energy weapons. He swept them aside with gentle but irresistible force. The door to the underground quarters was locked and reinforced. "Stand back!" Gorik rumbled. He placed both massive hands on the door and pulled. Metal screamed and tore. The door came free. Lisa entered first, her weapon lowered. The room beyond was dim and filled with bunks, small faces turned toward her, eyes wide with fear and confusion. Children. So many children. They looked thin and exhausted, wearing simple gray work clothes. Some were as young as 6. Others were teenagers. All of them looked terrified. "Please don't hurt us," a small voice said. "We'll work harder. We promise." Lisa's heart broke. She slowly removed her helmet so the children could see her face. "We're human," she said gently. "We're from Earth. We're here to take you home." Silence. The children stared at her, not quite believing. Then Sivra stepped forward, her green feathers bright in the dim light. "I was here before," she said softly. "Some of you saw me. I promised I would come back with help. This is that help." A girl pushed through the crowd of children. She looked about 10 years old with brown hair and determined eyes. Lisa recognized her from Sivra's description. This was the child who had organized the others, who had kept them alive. "You're really from Earth?" the girl asked, her voice shaking. "Yes. What's your name?"
Emma Wilson."
The girl's tough expression cracked. Tears began flowing down her cheeks. "Are you really taking us home?" "Yes, Emma. We're taking all of you home." Lisa knelt down to Emma's level. "We have ships waiting. We have doctors and food and everything you need. But we need to move quickly. Can you help me? Can you help get everyone ready?" Emma wiped her tears and nodded. She turned to the other children. "Everyone listen. These are rescue people. Real rescue? Get your things if you have any. Help the little ones. Stay together, like always." The children moved with surprising organization. The older ones picked up the youngest. They formed into groups automatically, clearly a system they had developed during their captivity. Lisa felt another wave of pride at their resilience. "Team 1, we have the children," Lisa reported into her comm. "Beginning evacuation. Team 3, children secured," Daniel's voice came back. "Moving to extraction point." Team 5, encountering resistance, Jake reported. "The Zorathian commander is trying to lock down the facility. Can you handle it?" Lisa asked. "Affirmative. The Calvari are creating a diversion. We'll have the children out in 5 minutes." Doc Patricia Moore waited at the extraction point with medical teams. As the first children emerged from the compound, she moved quickly among them, checking for urgent injuries. Most were malnourished and exhausted, but alive. Some had minor cuts and bruises. A few had more serious injuries that would need immediate attention. "Get them aboard the medical ships," Patricia ordered. "Warm blankets, water, simple food, nothing too rich or heavy yet. Their systems need to adjust." Emma stayed close to Lisa as they moved toward the waiting ships. "There are more camps," she said. "We heard the guards talking. Other children on other planets." "We know," Lisa assured her. "We're hitting all the camps right now. Every child is coming home today." Suddenly, an explosion rocked the compound behind them. Lisa spun around, her weapon ready. The main administration building was on fire. Zorathian soldiers were pouring out, better armed and more organized than the regular guards. "That's the commander's personal guard," Sivra warned. "They're trained fighters." The Zorathian commander himself appeared, a massive alien with dark scales and cold yellow eyes. He pointed at the escaping children and shouted orders. His soldiers raised heavy weapons. "Protect the children," Lisa commanded. The Theron soldiers immediately formed a living wall between the children and the Zorathians. Energy blasts hit their rock-like bodies and dissipated harmlessly. Human Marines returned fire with stun weapons. Cavalry warriors launched into the air, their natural flight ability allowing them to attack from above. But the commander pulled out a small device. "If I cannot have them, neither can you," he snarled in heavily accented English. He pressed a button. Explosions began in the mine tunnels beneath the compound. The ground shook. Buildings started to collapse. "He's destroying the mines!" Ryan shouted. "The whole facility is going to come down. Everyone move, now!" Lisa grabbed Emma and ran. Marines picked up smaller children and sprinted for the ships. The Theran soldiers carried multiple children at once, their strength invaluable. The ground cracked and split behind them. A chasm opened where the underground quarters had been just minutes before. If they had delayed even 5 more minutes, the children would have been buried alive. The ships lifted off as the compound collapsed into rubble and fire. Lisa watched from the Valiant's window as Vorath Prime's surface fell away. 237 children were aboard various ships, wrapped in blankets, drinking water, surrounded by humans and aliens who had risked everything to save them. Emma sat next to Lisa, holding tight to her hand. "Is it really over?" she asked quietly. "The hard part is over," Lisa said. "Now comes healing." Reports came in from the other teams. Camp 2, 112 children rescued. Camp 3, 86 children rescued. Camp 4, 73 children. Camp 5, 94 children. Camp 6, 61 children. Camp 7, 52 children. Lisa did the math. 715 children total. More than they had expected. All alive. All safe. All teams reporting successful extraction. Admiral Ross's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. 0 child casualties, minor injuries only. Operation Homecoming is a success. Cheers erupted across every ship. Humans and aliens celebrated together. In the medical bays, doctors worked with tears of joy running down their faces. The children, still confused and frightened, began to understand they were truly safe. Patricia Moore sat with a group of younger children, offering them cookies and milk. "These are from Earth," she said gently. "Real Earth cookies. Your parents helped make them." A little boy, maybe 7 years old, took a cookie carefully. He bit into it and his eyes went wide. "I remember this taste," he whispered. "I remember home." On the bridge of the Defender, Admiral Ross opened a channel to the Zarathian government. His message was brief and cold. "We have recovered our children, 715 human beings stolen from their homes. This act will not be forgotten. The galaxy will know what you have done." He closed the channel without waiting for a response. The combined fleet began its journey back to Paxis, where they would regroup before the long journey home to Earth. In every ship, children slowly began to relax. Some cried. Some slept. Some talked quietly with each other about the homes they barely remembered. Emma Wilson sat in the observation lounge of the Valiant, looking out at the stars. Lisa found her there. "What are you thinking?" Lisa asked. "I'm thinking about the other kids," Emma said. "The ones who didn't make it. We lost some friends in the mines, cave-ins, and accidents." Lisa put her arm around Emma's shoulders. "We'll remember them. We'll make sure everyone knows their names and honors their memory. Will we really go home? To actual Earth? Yes. In about 2 weeks, you'll see your home planet again." Emma leaned against Lisa. "Thank you for coming for us. We tried to stay strong. We tried to survive, but I don't think we could have lasted much longer." "You did survive," Lisa said firmly. "You kept the others alive. You were brave and strong when you needed to be. Now you can rest. Let us take care of you." For the first time in 3 years, Emma Wilson felt safe enough to truly cry. The combined fleet arrived at Earth 2 weeks later. Every news station in the solar system broadcast the moment when the first ships came into view. Millions of people gathered at viewing stations and public screens. Parents who had lost children 3 years ago stood at the front of crowds, holding old photographs and praying. Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen. Beside her, Emma Wilson pressed her face against the observation window, staring at the blue and white planet with wonder in her eyes. "Is that really it?" Emma asked softly. "That's Earth. That's home," Lisa replied. Behind them, Patricia Moore coordinated with ground-based medical facilities. The children were physically healthier after 2 weeks of good food and rest, but many still struggled with nightmares and fear. The real healing would take much longer than a ship voyage. As the fleet entered orbit, Earth's defense ships formed an honor guard. They fired no weapons, only released brilliant flares of colored light that painted the darkness with rainbows. It was a celebration, a welcome home for heroes and victims alike. Admiral Ross addressed the fleet one final time. You have all done something the galaxy will remember forever. Humans and aliens working together to protect the innocent. Today, we don't just bring children home. We prove what we can accomplish when we stand united. The landing process took hours. Medical ships descended first, carrying the children who needed the most care. Then came the transport vessels, each one carefully guided to landing facilities prepared specifically for the returnees. Emma was in the third wave of ships to land. She held Lisa's hand tightly as the shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. Other children pressed against windows, some crying, some laughing, some too overwhelmed to speak. The shuttle touched down at the recovery center in Colorado. The doors opened, and warm Earth air rushed in, air that smelled of pine trees and grass and rain. Air that smelled like home. Emma stepped onto the ramp slowly. Her legs felt weak. A woman with brown hair streaked with gray stood at the bottom of the ramp, tears streaming down her face. She held a photograph in shaking hands. "Emma," the woman called out. "Baby, is that you?" Emma froze. She stared at the woman, her mind struggling to remember. 3 years was a long time for a child. Then something clicked. A memory of being held, of being read bedtime stories, of being loved. "Mom?" Emma's voice cracked. Then she was running, stumbling down the ramp and into her mother's arms. They both collapsed to their knees, holding each other and sobbing. Lisa watched from the shuttle door, tears in her own eyes. All around the landing field, similar reunions were happening. Parents finding children, siblings reunited, grandparents embracing grandchildren they thought they would never see again. Not every child had someone waiting. Some had lost parents in the original Zorathian attacks. These children were guided gently toward counselors and social workers who would help them find new homes. The whole planet had volunteered to care for them. Daniel Harper found his own family in the crowd. His wife ran to him, and his 2 children tackled him with hugs. But Daniel's eyes were on the rescued children being reunited with their families. This was what mattered. This was why they had risked everything. Over the next few days, the story of Operation Homecoming spread across Earth and beyond. The footage of the rescue played on every screen. Emma's face, the girl who had organized the children and kept them alive, became a symbol of human resilience. But the story reached farther than just Earth. On alien worlds throughout the galaxy, people watched in amazement. The Calvari were celebrated as heroes on their homeworld. Wing Commander Talicris received their highest military honor. The Minari, Qualine, and Theran people all found themselves praised for their courage. More importantly, other species began coming forward. They contacted Earth with their own stories of Zorathian cruelty. Some had lost children too. Others had seen slaves in Zorathian mines, the evidence built into a mountain of proof that could not be ignored. The Galactic Council, a loose organization of the galaxy's major civilizations, called an emergency session. For the first time in decades, they voted to take action against a member species. Sanctions were imposed on the Zorathian Empire. Trade stopped. Diplomatic relations severed. The Zorathians found themselves isolated and condemned. 3 months after the rescue, Earth held a memorial service for the children who had died in the camps. 41 names were read aloud, each one a child who had not survived to see rescue. The service was held in a new garden, built specifically to honor them. Emma stood at the podium, her mother beside her for support. She had volunteered to speak, even though public speaking terrified her. But she needed to do this, for the friends who had died, for the children who survived, for everyone who had fought to save them. "My name is Emma Wilson," she began, her voice small but growing stronger. 3 years ago, I was taken from my home on the colony world New Salem. I was 7 years old. I didn't understand what was happening. I was scared. The crowd listened in absolute silence. Thousands of people filled the memorial garden. But Emma's voice carried clearly. In the camps, we learned to help each other. The older kids took care of the younger ones. We shared food. We told stories to make the darkness less scary. Some of us didn't make it. Some of my friends died in cave-ins or from sickness. I want everyone to remember them. They were brave. They tried so hard to survive. Emma's voice shook, but she continued. When Captain Chen and her team came for us, I didn't believe it at first. We had been waiting so long. We had started to think no one remembered us, but Earth never forgot. Humans never abandoned us, and neither did our alien friends. She looked at Talix, Sivra, and other alien representatives sitting in the honored section. The Kelvari, the Minari, the Qualine, the Theron. They helped save us. They risked their lives for children they never met. That's what real courage looks like. Emma took a deep breath. I learned something in those camps. I learned that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared. It means you protect others even when you're weak. It means you hold on to hope even when everything seems dark. She paused, gathering her thoughts. We're home now. We're safe, but we'll never forget what happened. We'll never forget our friends who died. And we'll always remember that when bad things happen, good people come together to make them right. That's what I want to say. Thank you for not forgetting us. Thank you for bringing us home. The crowd erupted in applause. Emma stepped back from the podium, and her mother wrapped her in a hug. Lisa Chen, watching from the crowd, felt her heart swell with pride. After the ceremony, a young reporter approached Emma. Can I ask you a question? What are you going to do now? How do you move forward after something like this? Emma thought carefully. I'm going to learn everything I missed. I'm going to play with other kids and be normal again. But I'm also going to remember, and someday, when I'm grown up, I want to help other people the way Captain Chen helped me. I want to make sure no other children have to go through what we did. 6 months later, the Kelvari government invited Earth to send representatives for a formal alliance ceremony. Lisa Chen, now promoted to admiral for her role in Operation Homecoming, attended with a delegation that included Emma and 50 other rescued children. The ceremony was held in the Kelvari capital, under open skies filled with flying aliens. Talix stood beside Lisa as they planted a tree together, a hybrid species created by Kelvari and human botanists working together. It would grow to be enormous, its roots mixing Earth soil with Kelvari Earth. This tree represents our friendship, Talix said. It will stand for centuries, reminding future generations that we stood together when it mattered most. Emma planted a smaller tree nearby, with Sivra's help. The young Kelvari scout had become Emma's friend during the recovery process. Despite the language barriers and physical differences, they understood each other perfectly. You kept your promise, Emma said to Sivra. You came back with help. You kept your promise too, Sivra replied. You kept the others alive until we could reach you. Back on Earth, the recovered children slowly rebuilt their lives. Some struggled more than others. Counselor David Palmer worked with dozens of them, helping them process trauma and learn to feel safe again. The work was slow and difficult, but progress happened bit by bit. A year after the rescue, Emma stood in front of her school class for a presentation. She had been asked to talk about her experience to help other students understand what had happened. She held up a small model of the Aurora, the ship that had first discovered evidence of the enslaved children. This is the ship that started everything, she explained. Captain Harper and his crew could have ignored what they found. They could have decided it was too dangerous to investigate. But they didn't. They risked everything to bring evidence home. That's what started the chain of events that saved us. A student raised his hand. Were you scared when you were rescued? Yes, Emma admitted. I was scared it wasn't real. Scared it was a trick. Scared I would wake up back in the mines. But Captain Chen was patient. She showed me her identification. She told me about Earth. She proved she was real. And slowly, I started to believe. Do you still have nightmares? Another student asked. Emma nodded. Sometimes. But they're getting better, and when I have them, I remember that I survived. I remember that good people fought for me. That helps. 2 years after the rescue, Earth hosted the first Interstellar Children's Summit. Young people from Earth and 20 other planets gathered to discuss peace, cooperation, and how to prevent future atrocities. Emma was invited as a keynote speaker. She stood before an audience of hundreds, both human and alien, all young people who wanted to make the galaxy better. "We were victims," Emma said, "but we refused to stay victims. We are survivors, and we're going to build a future where what happened to us can never happen again. Where species work together instead of against each other, where children are protected no matter what planet they come from." The young audience cheered. Among them were Kalvari children, Minari youth, and representatives from dozens of species. A new generation was forming, one that had seen the worst the galaxy could offer, but chose to create something better. Lisa Chen watched the summit from the observation deck. Beside her stood Admiral Ross, now retired but forever changed by Operation Homecoming. "Do you think we really changed things?" Ross asked. "Or was this just one victory in an endless fight?" "Both," Lisa replied. "We changed things for 700 children. We proved that species can work together. We showed the galaxy that some lines cannot be crossed without consequences. But yes, the fight continues. There's still injustice out there. Still children who need help. Then we keep fighting," Ross said simply. Lisa smiled. "Yes, we keep fighting." In the memorial garden, the trees planted in honor of fallen children had grown strong and tall. People visited daily, leaving flowers and messages. The garden had become a place of peace, a reminder that from tragedy could grow hope. Emma visited often. She would sit under the largest tree and remember her friends who had not survived. She would tell them about her life, about school and friends and normal things. She promised them that she would live well, that their memory would inspire her to be kind and strong. The galaxy had learned a lesson from Operation Homecoming. Not every species heeded it, but many did. Trade agreements began including protections for vulnerable populations. New laws were passed. Species that had never spoken before started talking. And in homes across Earth and beyond, rescued children continued to grow, to heal, to become the people they were meant to be. They carried scars, but they also carried hope. They had seen darkness, but they had also seen the light of people who cared enough to fight for them. That was the true victory of Operation Homecoming. Not just the rescue itself, but everything that came after. The friendships formed, the alliances built, the future created by those who refused to accept injustice. Emma Wilson, once a frightened child in a dark mine, stood tall under an alien sky and smiled. She was home. She was safe. She was loved. And she would never be abandoned again.